This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. Joe Castello back with you. WFO. Hopefully everybody is great out there on Facebook and Twitter, YouTube. We have got a great show for you today. You might be noticing like, hey, man, it's a little early. Isn't it a little early for WFO on a Wednesday? Normally it's like 4 o'clock. And yeah, the answer is it's a little bit early. Not only are we experimenting with our start time, but why not, right? Everybody's on lunch right now. If you're on the West Coast, it's early morning. You've yet to get started. Spend a little time with us and Jeg Coughlin Jr., the natural, one of the greatest NHRA drivers in history, one of the pure drivers, a super gas world champ who moved up to pro stock and won not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but 5. Sounds like LeBron when he came to the Heat. 5 Mellow Yellow Pro Stock World Championships. We are going to speak with Jeg and have a nice conversation here in his final year before going into semi-retirement. So get in and sit down and hold on and be ready. Share, start a watch party. Yesterday, Ricky Smith starts a watch party, and that's the kind of thing that is it's great and annoying to me, because if only I had known that Tricky Ricky had started a watch party on his page, I would have come up with a bunch of Tricky Ricky related stuff. But I can't see exactly who starts all the watch parties out there, but they do help and they get the show out to a lot of people. So if you're a pro stock fan or drag racing fan, start a watch party right now, get your friends in on it, and let's get fired up for Jeg, who is just seconds away. I do want to shout out to a couple of things. First and foremost, you see the Nitro Ninja up in the right-hand corner of the screen. We're going to fly that until Dom comes home. And I want everybody to know, we talked about it yesterday, the big GoFundMe account. Also, Nitrofish Racing has got shirts. These shirts, Lagana Strong Nitro Ninja, available at nitrofishracing.com and other places too. Like a lot of people are kind of getting together to try to get these shirts out there. All the proceeds going to the Lagana family. And I encourage you to get one, nitrofishracing.com. Go on there, dive in there, and use it. Get it, because we want everybody coming up at the big go rocking these shirts. Show the love, and that's it. That's what we want you to do. That's number one priority here today. And I do know, like, this is going to be a little weird for me to say, but don't use the promo code on that. I'm asking, please. Don't use the promo code, because every dollar is going to Dom. And so save that for another time. And I know we have a very advanced audience, and you guys are cool with that. You know, when I say don't use the promo code, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what the promo code is, well, then I just messed it all up. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. We need you, the next generation of engine builders. We need... Think about it. Blockhead, CNC programs, motorsport EFI tuning. They're approved to train veterans under the GI Bill. Who is going to be the next generation of crew chiefs and engine builders and CNC programmers? They're coming out of samtech.edu. Brian Massengill and the Massengill family doing a great job, and we really appreciate everything they have done for WFO Radio. Also, Marvin Rodak, RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com. This is an easy one because it's coffee in the morning, roasted fresh per your order, hot sauces and spice rubs and everything good, grilling techniques, barbecues, outdoor kitchens. They do it all if you're down there in Fort Worth, Texas. But I know we got WFO Radio listeners all over the country, and you just want to support the show and get in on the Rodaks experience. Call Marvin, 817-924-6821. He'll hook you up with a pound of coffee, roasted fresh per your order. Get that habanero endorphin booster hot sauce. You're going to love it. I love it. It's a big part of my life. Seriously, big part of my life. Also, Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology, just knocked out another episode of Hidden Horsepower, the podcast that we produce for Total Seal, learning so much about different rings, top rings, oil rings, the pressures, all of that, honing. So if you're an engine geek, an engine builder, you want to listen to that podcast, but really it's all an educational practice. There are people who are learning a lot about engines on the podcast, and then when they do build an engine, Total Seal Piston Rings are the rings. Most recent guest, or one of the most recent guests, going to be Tom Martino who just goes into stories about Bob Glidden and Warren Johnson and Bill Grumpy Jenkins. He's doing voices. It's really entertaining. It's amazing. But why are we doing the podcast? So you go to TotalSeal.com, and the next engine you build, or if you're an engine builder by trade, you give them a shot because they make a great product over there. TotalSeal.com. Really appreciate them. And finally, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Maybe you want to become a champion race car driver, or maybe you just want an amazing single-day experience like the Dragster Adventure. I can't tell you which of the two you are, but I can tell you that Frank Hawley puts it all together. These are just regular people, folks. Regular people. Just like you, driving dragsters, having fun, learning to drive race cars. Go to frankhawley.com to find out more information and tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. I am WFO Joe, and now it is time for our guest. I'm super excited to speak with this man. First of all, let me just, before he comes on, Jeg Coughlin has always been super available at WFO Radio over his career, whether it's winning a big money bracket race or for no reason to just come on the show for us to use his star power. And I really appreciate it. I am saddened a little bit by his semi-retirement, but I know he's going to be racing and still out there having a good time. Let's bring him on. The natural, the winner of the Dodge Nationals at Indy and Pro Stock, Mr. Jeg Coughlin Jr. Jeggy, welcome.
What's going on, Joe?
Oh, man, I'm happy to be doing a show. We're kicking it at noon, midday. I'm sure we've got a big audience out there on their lunch hour, the corporate time-stealing weasels. Maybe folks down there in the warehouses, right? They're checking out on their mobile devices. And the reason is, well, you won a race, big win. And the way it happened over your nephew, we got to spend a little time talking about that because, man, if there's anybody that wants to beat you, it's got to be TJ.
Yeah, no doubt. He and I've, obviously go back a long ways, certainly in the racing world. He's always been a huge study of the sport. His dad's biggest fan by a long shot as his uncles continue to race and grow in the sport, was hot on our heels as well. But, he and I spent a lot of time together. I wish I had this one photo in particular that I was just thinking of with he and I practicing on one of the simulators. He was probably about 4'4". So it was probably a good 20 years ago, I would say, up in one of our bonus room in our house. And it just showed the intensity that he had. And he and I always had a goal when we were hitting the tree together. We kind of had what we call a 3-degree guarantee. Our weatherman here always had a 3-degree guarantee on the temperature out. So we wanted to guess our reaction time within basically 6 thousandths, 3 thousandths either way before it displays on the device. So that's a little side story there to divert. But to see him mature as he has into the bracket racing world, into Super Comp, into the NHRA world, ran Pro Modified for I think 2 seasons, did one hell of a job wrestling those Broncos down the racetrack. And, to see him run a top fuel dragster was extremely painful to watch as an uncle, but was fun to watch nonetheless. And I think he did a heck of a job with that, with what he was working with. And then hopped into a Pro Stock car just this past February. Hopped in my car. I had tested it the first day in Bradenton and had plans to test it for 2 days, and then he was going to stick around and run it for 3 after that if everything worked out well. And we were really happy with my whopping 3 runs on the first day of testing that he hopped in on day 2. And I'm glad he did because I was able to work with him throughout that day. And then I had to come back to Ohio for work matters. And he tested another 3 days. And, the goal was just to get him some seat time. We do a lot of testing with Elite Motorsports, and unfortunately, I don't do a whole lot of it from behind the wheel myself. So it would give him the opportunity to do some racing in 2020. You fast forward very, very quickly and no more seat time. And he got an opportunity to race at the World Door Slammer Nationals in Orlando, the inaugural event there, the $75,000 to win race, and came out in grand style. I couldn't have been more proud to see his transition go not only so smoothly, but wow, so quickly. He found himself aside three-time world champion in round one in teammate Erica Enders, and was able to get by her in round one, and that was extremely exciting for him. Naturally, one of our team cars was going to win, and was neat to see that. But
who won that deal, by the way? Who won that deal?
What's that?
The World Door Slammer Nationals.
I'm not sure, man. No, we had one heck of a day that day, or that weekend. First off, we're just miles from Universal and Disney, right? So we're always talking about these just amazing theme parks. Well, in Pro Stock, when we have sub sea level air conditions, we call that Disneyland or the like, because it's just an amazing condition. Well, when we were in Orlando for that weekend, it was pretty much at or under sea level all weekend long. And the Pro Stock cars, without a power adder, no supercharger to help induce that air, really thrives on that high barometer and cool temperatures and that close to sea level conditions. And that's exactly what we had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And to fast forward to Sunday, to work our way through the field as we did. We weren't the best car. I think we qualified 6th overall. And it was a drawing out of a hat as to who we ran first round. I think I ran Bo Butner. I don't know where he qualified, but he was in the top 9 for sure. So we typically would not have squared off round one. Looking fast forwarding three runs to run my buddy and nemesis Greg Anderson in the final round, a classic matchup in my final season of Pro Stock, and to take the huge $75,000 to win prize was extremely exciting. That's very long-winded again, but getting back to the initial question of running Troy Jr. in the final of the Dodge Nationals at Indy was really special. I got to tell you. I mean, here we are. I was, I think, 6th pair round one. I think he was either 4th or 5th pair. So he was right in front of me. He's running Kyle Kretsky, another young gun coming into the sport, 2nd generation racer, one that we look for great things to come and already have come, but great things to come out of him. But, to see his win light come on, just gave me goosebumps sitting a couple pair back, and I was really excited for him. And then as he worked his way through the field that day, a very tough Pro Stock field that he did, found himself on the good side of a 004 reaction time to Erica's minus 004 round 2 to pick up that win. And then the semifinals, he was next to Jason Line, and I was next to Greg Anderson. Two again classic matchups there happening. 1st and 2nd pair in the semifinal round, and I was the first one to go down the racetrack, and kind of had just one of those yeehaw runs where I was riding that Bronco from the time I let the clutch out to the time it kind of settled. It started to settle down about 5th gear, but the track was just getting hotter and hotter by the minute. Ricky and the crew were doing the best they could with the balance of the car and the clutch management, the power management side of things, and obviously we got the win over Greg. He went in, had some transmission troubles, but based on our incremental times from 60 to 330, we were going to be a handful even riding through the mess we had. So that was fun. And then being on the top end and seeing the Fox monitor there, and hearing Alan Reinhart call the event as Jason Line just as he said, squared the tire and turned sideways, and to see old Red with that brilliant yellow and black on the side and Troy Jr. behind the wheel. Really stellar 667 run down that right lane. I'm like, damn, this is going to be just an unbelievable final round. And, just things started going through my mind of all the childhood memories that I recall of him growing up making all of his race car noises, which at age 30, he still makes the same race car noises as I do at 50.
We'll ask him about that. Next time we talk to him, we'll have to ask him about that. Now, we do have people on Facebook weighing in, and some of them are, celebrities, like Mike Heiner is out there, and he says that they were all pulling for TJ to beat you, is what he said. Well, more out of personal aspirations. I think about my little nephew, and at 9 years old, the way he competes with me, and I can't even imagine now to advance that to being an adult and being at the pro level and being in pro stock. I know that Troy has wanted to be in pro stock. He just didn't think it was going to happen.
Right.
To now get that opportunity and second race in, get to race his uncle and try to beat him. Like, that's just so much to handle for anybody. At the same time, you couldn't let him beat you. Like, you had to get up for it. Like, this was a serious moment here.
He was as cool as a cucumber, trust me. And that's the way we like it. I can probably count on one hand here how many times I went into a round or a final round of this nature. And, I really wanted to win the round, trust me, but I really didn't care the outcome. I really didn't. I was pulling for him equally as I was myself. I knew there was a no-lose situation. I'm in the midst of trying to run my final season in pro stock and potentially a challenge for the season Mellow Yellow championship. And with all that going on, I can still tell you, I had those feelings running through my mind, and we went out there and did what we do, and turned out he ended up having the same trouble that his competitor had in the semis, just kind of stuck the tire hard and then went into some tire shake, and we just kind of slid down through there and were able to turn the win light on. So that yielded the win for us.
Got some former crew members out there weighing in. Clint says you can win from any position, even 16th, and he's been there for that.
That's done right there, baby.
And you won from all 16 qualifying positions. Has it been weird running all these races at Indy, though? I know it's a favorite of tracks. So
sure.
To me, it's not, I like it. I get bonus Indy, right, if I'm watching at home. Yeah. But what about for you to make all these runs? And how's that going to affect the big go in a couple of weeks, in that we've had basically two for you guys,
two for us.
Tests?
No, I think it's, I think the NHRA and obviously the racing community is trying to do what we can to continue our path of some normalcy through the pandemic here. And, racing at Indy has been, it's my second home track to National Trail Raceway, and always has been since I've been a kid. So from that aspect, it's worked out well. I think you look at the sport in total, and a good vast majority of the professional teams are housed within a very short proximity of Indiana, if not only Indianapolis Raceway Park, but of Indiana itself. So from that aspect, it lends its hand really well to hosting many events. But it's been special. To be honest with you, we've seen NHRA house three events there as other races have fallen off the radar, and it's been nice that we've been able to host and have safe, clean races as we have, and we've got the big go coming up, which is extremely exciting, and Indy will be a little bit different this year naturally with the cloud that we're all flying under, but it is what it is, and as the NHRA and as pro stock and as entertainers, we'll look to get out and do what we love to do.
No, I agree. I'm excited. I'll be in Indy. I announced that yesterday. I'm very thrilled about being able to be back and things get more normal, my return. But there are some things that are happening this year because of what you just said that has got some people a little ruffled or sour or whatever. And this interview is going to be like, positive, negative. I don't know how you're going to take this, but Mark Stockseth is a big WFO radio supporter, and he's got the hashtag JegProStock 2021. Now, I know what that means. And Alan Reinhart is talking about it, and I'm thinking about it, and it's this. Jimmy Johnson on the NASCAR side, anybody that plans something big and memorable for 2020 is being asked to rethink that, because 2020 barely happened. It's this weird thing. And so it's all selfish, Jeg. We want to see you race another year. But I know you're being asked this, and everyone, Jimmy Johnson and Bo Butner is now in on it, and Jason Line, the retirement grudge match. I'm going to ask you about that. But what do you say to those folks that say, hey, man, this didn't count. This wasn't real. We need you back for a real final season. Guys like Mark Stockseth, by the way, not just some regular dude.
No, I appreciate it, Mark. Mark's been a great friend and was a big catalyst in getting me back behind the wheel of a pro stock car a couple of years ago. And couldn't thank him more. But 2020 has been called my final year, and I'm sticking with it. The Breaking Barriers Tour it's still in warm and hot fury, and hopefully we can still get good 6, 7, 8 events yet in here in 2020, and call it a professional career, if you will. I've been doing this a long time, since 1997. I think I saw a flash of my first pro stock winner circle shot, and that's a long time, that we've been doing this. And racing's been my secondary job my entire life, from the time I started racing in college a little bit. I've been going to racing my entire life, but driving behind the wheel, racing in college, and then later when I completed college and graduated, working full time was my first and foremost job, and then later adding in a family, and it's just a lot. There's been a lot going on, and I wouldn't trade a thing in the entire world for the last 30 years of my life. And but I do look forward to things being a little more elective as I move to the future, and I look to run a good 8 to 15 events next year, and yet to be determined.
See, okay, so that's the thing. It's like retirement, like Bo with his deal, retirement. Drag racers don't retire.
No.
Boxers don't retire, obviously, anymore, if Roy Jones and Mike Tyson actually get together for that fight. But there is a thing where you age out. Like the junior drag racing kids have to deal with it. Like, man, I'm not a kid anymore. I can't do that anymore. What do I do? But drag racers, we've got, the Greek is the most insane of examples, that he's still out there. This guy's 115 years old, and he is still out there racing. So it's not about retiring and stepping away. It's about managing your schedule. So you already revealed you're going to do some stuff. You're just not going to run for the Mellow Yellow Points Championship and be there every weekend. Yeah,
there's a chance, we kidded around after the Orlando win that maybe there'd be a seat available for the World Door Slammer Nationals second running of, but yet to be seen there. Now, I do plan on primarily doing some big money bracket racing in 2021 with my family, and my wife Samantha races, and a lot of my brother Mike and nieces and nephews. So we've got a lot going on under our JEGS umbrella, not only corporate side where I'm sitting today, but next door in the racing side. So still a lot going on, and hopefully we'll keep some yellow and black out there on the professional side of things, and have a lot to root on there.
Let's talk about the big money bracket racing side of it. You mentioned National Trail was where you got started, and everybody needs to know, like, look at this shot that Jag sent us. That is super cool. And that reminds me of Miami Hollywood, the track that I've got the tree here in the background. I don't know if you were ever down there for that track. It was amazing. I know you came to West Palm a lot, but kind of when you started to come down for the 5-day, Miami Hollywood had already been raised in 1992. We had such a great time. But the big crossover bridge over the staging lanes, that brings back memories for me. This is where it started for you. Tell me about that. You had a dad that had a Top Fuel dragster, was in the biz. You grew up in the biz. So you've been part of drag race life forever.
Yeah, really, since it all started, but just seeing that picture at National Trail Raceway, that particular picture was, it's got 1975 written on it. And, but I can recall, running across that bridge. I probably monkey barred underneath the darn thing as well at one point in time. But, just a lot of memories at National Trail Raceway. Starting my racing career, didn't start there, but my first racing win came there. I was not quite, maybe I wasn't quite 16 yet, sorry folks, but I was racing Street Eliminator on a Wednesday night event, and remember taking the final round win over Mikey Domenico. Still remember something to that level today, but I passed under that walkway many, many times, and I've read the mantra that is quoted there, and it's so true, and I've used that in many walks of life since a kid till now. Not everything comes to you easy, and sometimes you got to grit through some things, and only the strong survive. But a lot of good memories, as I was saying there. So looking forward to possibly having some more there. There's some great races that'll be hosted there, National Trail Raceway, and I hope to hit a couple of them in 2021 as well.
Now, whenever we get on, and I love Pro Stock, I want to ask you about the cars in the class right now, in that you've won 5 championships and you've seen a strong evolution since the late 90s and that Cutlass we saw. But before we do that, since you mentioned big money bracket racing, and most of our listeners and viewers out there on YouTube, and welcome to everybody, are fans of the Mellow Yellow series, like maybe TV drag racing fans, but also we've got sportsman racers, bracket racers. They're common threads that run through the cloth that is drag racing. And you always say that your 5-day win was a huge milestone in your career. What's happening right now with big money bracket racing is something, and I don't mean right at this second, I mean in the past 5 years.
Yeah,
where you can win 6 figures, right? Steve Sisko's guys winning huge money, man, in a door slammer. And the allure of that, racing a little less schedule, maybe, but you've got a shot to knock down huge money. And it's causing people to rethink their racing lives. Like, I've had listeners who they raced back in the day. They're going to build a car to go big money bracket racing and try it and get in the mix. That's good for racing. It's got to be good for jegs, but just talk a little bit about the phenomenon.
Well, it's amazing, quite honestly. And I think that comment alone, drag racing doesn't really discriminate at all, because you can be young or middle-aged or in your retirement years, and it's still a sport of which, if you're mentally there and physically capable, it's something you can wrestle. So, it's neat to see. I think what we've seen over the last, and I won't say 5 years, it's been a good 10 plus years with just great promoters, going back to the George Howard days and Mike Fuquay, to the modern day promoters. Dallas Jones is still going at it with Bowling Green, but you've got Kyle Riley and SFG, and you got Pete and Kyle with the Spring Fling events, and numerous others that have cropped up more regionally, that are just putting on good quality races, and with, in most cases, very affordable or fair entry fees for the prize money that is coming not only throughout the event, but obviously at the end of the day for discussion and or for the last man standing, depending on how things go in the split throughout the day. But I think you've seen a lot of companies like Jegs get behind these events, because we have a lot of our customers racing at these events. Not only the customers, but their family and friends that come with them. I think it's a great fit for us. It's been easy for us because it's always been one of our first loves. So staying in touch with bracket racing, I haven't done as much of it the last 10 or 15 years as I had maybe in the 90s, but still enjoy it. It's the most competitive form of drag racing there is, run in and run out, bar none, as I see it. And maybe I've driven a few things in my day to be able to throw a comment out like that and get away with it. But it's enjoyable and something you can do with your family. You can pick and choose. It's elective, so you don't have to go to a 5-day event and run all 5 days. You can go for 2 or 3 of the days and kind of bite off what you can chew for your work schedule or your racing schedule alike. So that's been what I've seen building over the years is just good, affordable, more affordable bracket racing with the prize monies and prize packages that the promoters are bringing forward, soliciting companies again like Jegs to provide products and giveaways for their participants, and it all adds up to creating a great experience. And speaking of experience, there's a photo of Spring Fling win at Bristol at good old Thunder Valley Raceway there. Pete and Kyle and us partying in the winner's circle. It was late night. Wasn't probably one of the better quality photos I sent you there, but it's probably ranks up there as a top couple win in my entire career.
Wow. And the variety of the cars, I think, yeah, you're right. It's not the best photo, but that whatever. The point is, and Peter and Kyle, and I've told them both this as someone who had and still does have a 10-second car. There was a time where I was feeling not able to compete against all of these tracks. They brought door slammers back with that, and that you choose to build a 4-door Nova wagon and go bracket race it and win. That's a big thing. That's a sea change a little bit. And as you said, it's been going for a while now, but thank goodness for that, because it stopped it stopped this momentum that I felt like we had. Like if you had a 10-second door slammer, you felt like it might not be competitive.
Sure. No, it definitely has. And you know what you're referring to, for the listeners that aren't familiar, most, if not all, the major bracket races today separate the door cars as long as they can in the dragsters from one another. So, you know, round one, they call door cars, 2 by 2, they go down. And if there's, in some instances, if there's a bye run, the door car gets the bye run, then they start the dragsters. And in some cases, the last door car would run the first dragster. However the format runs, it's all known before you get to the race. But what that's done is, you know, it's allowed the door cars to race against the door cars throughout many of the early rounds of the race, and in most cases, right up to the final round, almost guaranteeing a door car versus dragster final, which makes it fun as well. So, you know, and I'd say, you know, there'd be some that argue it out there, but a lot of the door cars have been doing very well at the big money races in the last 10 years. There's really no advantage. It's, you know, man and machine or female machine out there doing what they do and loving what they do. And by the time you get to the final round, everyone's pretty well honed in on what the car is going to do and what the reaction times are. And it makes for some great racing.
Absolutely. And, you know, to beat, you know, 1 dragster or 2 dragsters or 3 dragsters, one thing. To beat like, you know, 7 in a row, that is a different deal. All right. You sent some photos, and some other photos have come in as well. I'm going to flash them on the screen. I want you to tell me what they are, what memories they bring up, and we'll go from there. Like, all right.
Wow.
Who are these guys?
Well, look at that. We got, looks like John's got old Cornelius Green's jersey on from Ohio State football. This got to be like 1976, 1974, 5, 6, somewhere in there. So John, Troy, Mike, and I, my 3 older brothers, and I, probably with our grandparents at either Kings Island or Cedar Point. And by the looks of the backdrop there, we were probably going fishing in the little fishing pond where we always said there had to be a scuba guy under there, because as soon as you drop your line in, they hook a fish on there and tug on your line, and you pull it out, and everyone's happy, right?
Yes.
But yeah, no, we were blessed. Both my mom's parents and my dad's parents both were fantastic with us, with their grandkids, and, you know, taking us on adventures and whatnot. That was just a quick snap of one of the many.
All right. What about this one? Look at these guys.
Yeah, that's that looks like we're obviously going racing, I'd say. Was that Mikey there in the cowboy hat, Purcell and Clark, the late Dennis Purcell and Richard Clark raced together and worked together for decades. You got me in the just no shirt, Troy, and then our grandmother Gaga, my dad's mom. Again, the Caprice Classic there, old EC Double Deuce was never lacking a soda or some Kentucky Fried Chicken or some Munchos that we took on the road, and I can still taste those like yesterday. You
got to bring this look back, Jag. I think this needs to come back.
Yeah, I probably need to get to the gym a little bit more to bring that one back, but maybe I'd be a country singer with good old, I'll borrow Mike's cowboy hat.
There you go. Now, that having been said, let's throw it out there for everybody. The throwback, right? The Big Go, the Denso Big Go, the U.S. Nationals. It's 50 years of pro stock. Again, this whole pandemic has really put the brakes on a lot of fun things that we had planned. But you and hopefully some other teams are going to continue with a concept that was put out there to do throwback paint schemes at the U.S. Nationals. Now, if they don't, I totally understand it, because everybody is dealing with this situation in their own way, and it takes time and it takes money, etc. But from what I understand, we're throwing it back with your car. I don't know what exactly the look is going to be. I guess you'll reveal it there. Not so much the outfit, but the car is going to have a throwback look. That's exciting.
Yeah, no, we're really fired up about it. We threw a teaser out earlier in the season when we felt like we were going to return to racing at Houston. Houston being my first NHRA professional win in the Olds Cutlass. That I think we flashed a picture of that earlier out there. We're going to mimic that design on our current Chevy Camaro right there. And Woody came up and had it all worked out with Scott Brown, who does a lot of the artwork for the drag racing world, but in elite performance in particular. But also on the hood of it is going to have the actual picture of the Cutlass, which I think will be really cool, to try and tie in with the newer fans that aren't putting the throwback together so much. They can relate and see the Cutlass right there on the hood with the throwback scheme on the Camaro, and Eric Reyes, the stick man out west, striped up one of my early helmets in pro stock that I'll be wearing throughout the weekend, and have already debuted it at our first Indy that we ran in July, and it fit great, looked great, fired me up when I put it on. So it's going to make for a fun Indy in that respect. For sure. And, it's certainly, as you mentioned, the Pro Stock contingent had a plan to all do throwback schemes for the U.S. Nationals this year. And I'm sure there'll still be a handful that will be able to participate well. So look forward to that.
There you go. No, I like it. Did someone say paint schemes? Very interesting. Yeah, maybe wraps. I don't know. Paint.
Wraps, okay.
Whatever. You mentioned Eric Reyes, and we had Jerron Settles on a few weeks ago. We got a lot of talented people in drag racing.
Yep.
Forget, what it is, but just like in all these different little slivers and categories, we have so many talented people that love drag racing.
No doubt. There's two you mentioned right there that have done masterful work, not only on the racetrack, but also, in the booth, so to speak. So, Eric, he's a great dude. I've known him for over nearly 30 years now, I guess I'd say, and he's painted a lot of helmets for me in the 90s, and we've obviously stayed in touch, and his studio's right at kind of the staging lanes of Sonoma Raceway, which is so cool. So it's always great to see him out there, and love following him on Instagram because his hand gold leaf work is second to none. I promise you.
All right, what about this one? This one late come in, and who might be involved in sending me these photographs now, which is good. But wow, that is such a classic shot right there. Look at that.
That's a good shot. You got the captain himself staging it up next to getting ready to turn the wind light on. Actually, next to Big Daddy himself at the Spring Nationals. Probably late 70s. I can't pinpoint the year exactly. The head on the far left there with the Fiesta Gardens racing shirt on is none other than Fox's own Todd Venny. You've got me next to Todd, the shortest one, trying to peek up over the top of the sleeper. A friend of my brother Mike's, PJ Williams, in the curly hair, and then Mikey to the far right. Our crew chief, my dad's crew chief, Ron Barrow, who was the longtime crew chief for Big Daddy, was working with our team for a couple of years there. And then behind him to the right is, as we look at the screen, is my brother Troy in the team shirt. So, and other top field dragsters coming up what Clark Rader called the hot car staging lanes.
Hot car lanes.
At National Trail Raceway, because you had the hot car lanes that came up right along the track, and then the 6 lanes that came up underneath that famed walkway we just talked about. So good stuff there. Love it.
Very cool. You mentioned Todd Venny. Daryl Gwynn sent me a video of his dad, Ken Venny, doing some tractor pull stuff like from this past weekend, making him full pull. Amazing stuff like that family. Todd has never been on the show. He refuses to come on for some reason. I don't know why. I've asked him many times and he just...
Come on, TV.
Yeah, come on, TV. What's up with that? And he's probably exploding somewhere out there because none of that is true. We've talked about coming on. He has yet to refuse, though. All right, what about exactly? Reel him in. Look at this. That looks like a happy moment.
Yeah, that's again another crew heading down the track. Probably Wally Parks is twitching in his grave with us youngsters. Riding in the back of the truck, going down the racetrack to pick up our father, who just made a lap down the track. Looks like David Daniels and I, of longtime Division III director Bob and Eileen Daniels, their son's in the back with us. He's no longer with us, but we had a lot of fun together. And he and I single-handedly knew every inch of Indianapolis Raceway Park at one point in time. There wasn't a speck of grass in that whole facility that we didn't know or know where it was. So a lot of good times together with David and the family, but at Indy as well. And that kind of ties that into our earlier Indy conversations.
It seems like a scene, first of all, like, okay, yeah, it's a different era safety wise, but really you're at the drag strip. Come on, you guys are smart enough to hold on. That's a scene out of like Heart Like a Wheel right there. That's like the era captured perfect.
That is. You couldn't capture it any better right there. Fired up crew. Obviously, we either ran a really good qualifying run or Pops turned on the win light in one of the rounds. So good times.
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Got some comments coming in. Reyes is the man, of course. Monica loving the flashbacks. Everybody loves the photos. That's it. Warren out there. Let's see. Jeg, we stepping out of the seat. Will there be a Jegs sponsored Pro Stock car in 2021? Ooh, a serious question diving into this. Yeah.
Well, there's a good chance of it. Would love nothing more than to, if the stars were to continue to line for Troy Jr. to continue his Pro Stock path. He's certainly shown, his ability behind the wheel in a very, very short period of time, which yours truly was never too concerned about that. But no, we'd love to continue to see the family grow in the sport of NHRA drag racing, and obviously we've got a huge contingent that'll be racing in Super Comp and Super Gas and doing some bracket racing as well.
All right, I want to go a little faster because you're so gracious with your time, obviously, and we appreciate it. Because I've got some photos and then I got some actual Pro Stock questions I want to ask you. But this one right here, speaking of National Trail, that is first of all,
1992.
Great crowd, big win. I like it.
Yeah, that is Saturday of the Spring Nationals, the TRW All Stars event. You got me in the closest lane to us in the Street Roadster. That was right in the middle of our 1992 Super Gas World Championship run. In the far lane, my brother John's Ford Probe, which was probably one of the coolest Super Gas cars at the time. It would rank right up there next to my Street Roadster, but Kyle Seipel, whom we've mentioned his name earlier with Spring Fling fame, was behind the wheel of that. He came clear from San Leandro, California, representing Division 7, and then the TRW All-Star event, which is now known as the Jegs All-Stars, which will be hosted at the U.S. Nationals this year. So that was a lot of fun. He got the best of me that round one. That was round one of the All-Star event. We kind of didn't play the qualifying ladder too well and ended up aside one another round one, and he got the best of me. But we've had a friendship that's run deeper and deeper as the days go on since then.
Well, and that you mentioned Kyle Seipel, Peter Biondo, Jimmy DeFrank. There's this crew that runs together, some of the greats, like a rat pack almost of great drag racers at all levels. And you guys became friends years and years ago. Explain how that happened. We hear these stories of talented racers being rivals, and certainly you do have rivals out there, but I can't think of a negative rivalry that you have, and it seems more likely that you end up great friends with the people you race against. Yeah,
that's usually what the community has been about. Of course, you have your few foes here and there, but it's been a lot of great friendships made and built over the years, and one hell of a lot of memories made along the way, which has been extremely special. A lot that you just mentioned in that crowd, Pete and Kyle and Jimmy D and Anthony Bertozzi. There's a handful of us got together a couple of years ago and had a nice little retreat down in Florida and did some boating and some beaching and a lot of eating and a lot of bench racing. And it's just what we've really enjoyed, building over the years. And even in the Pro Stock crowd is, we built a lot of great friendships and memories as well. Off track, maybe we haven't taken it to that next level as we have with some of the other guys. But I got to say, really that's what it's built around. The Freeman family that I race with right now with Mark Stockseth and the entire Freeman family couldn't ask for better people to work with and race with. And off the track, to the comment I was getting to, couldn't find more fun friends to hang out with and be with as well. So the beat continues there, and hopefully the will for many more years to come.
So let's talk about championships. Like, this is the goal, obviously, to win a title, to go out there and get the job done. And so far this year, you won the Winter Nationals. You won the Dodge Nationals at Indy. You've been made final round, so you're having a good point season. And it seems like you won the World Door Slammer Nationals. That when you can't will yourself to win in racing. We saw the Michael Jordan special, right? I'm sure you watched that. Like, the guy was capable of willing himself to victory because he had superior drive and athleticism. In racing, you can have superior drive and abilities and still lose because of things that are out of your control. That having been said, it seems like you're really focused on this one. Like, you realize this is the last go round and you're ready to go out there and leave it all on the table. You got Jason Line out there who's probably feeling those same things. This is it for him. We've had the retirement grudge match a couple of times, and it's going to be very exciting for the pro stock fans out there. So just talk a little bit about that, the determination this year compared to other years, because it's your last year. Yeah,
no doubt. I mean, you always feel like you've got your best foot forward. And at 50, I just turned 50 in June. I'm still learning, things not only in life, but about myself. And, I've had come off of two really good seasons, in 18 and 19, finishing number 2, both of those years. And, I think after finishing 2 last year was quite a drive there in the countdown. We had a little bit of driving mishap and some good driving prowess that was trying to propel us and move us up that ladder. I think we climbed from either 6th or 8th in the points to number 2 by the time we got to the end, and just fell just a tick short of Erica's championship season win. But I think pulling off of really 19 and the momentum we had there was where my focus has been. I really felt like I found some missing elements in my mind that was able to sharpen up and repurpose toward the end of 19 that I was really happy with. And then that has carried into 2020. And fortunately or unfortunately, however you look at it, we've only had 4 attempts at it with the pandemic we're dealing with. But I feel really good, getting ready and getting back behind the wheel come U.S. Nationals time. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, the JEGS All-Stars, the U.S. Nationals, like so many things going on at this race. It's going to be literally, epic event for history. You lead the points over Jason by 44, by 77 over Erica. And I don't want to count Greg Anderson out just yet because he's Greg Anderson. But given the limited schedule and the drivers that are ahead of him, I'm calling it a 3-horse race. I'm going to make that bold prediction already. It's a 3-horse race. It's Jason, your teammate. Well, sorry, it just is what it is. It's like we've used that again. That's kind of an interesting thing to think about, right? Erica, last year's champ, Jason fighting for his last championship, and you in the mix. Very difficult to handicap that.
No, it's without question going to be a dog fight to the end. But that's what. It's what we love as competitors, one, and it's what the fans of the sport enjoy. So, we're looking at a schedule of, 7 to 8 races to conclude, the 2020 season, and good Lord willing, we'll get those events in. Not only get them in, but get them in safely, and we'll see who the champ will be at the end of that run. But that's we're talking 7 or 8 races. A lot can happen when we've only had 4. So statistically, there's a lot of racing left, and I wish there were 18 races left at this point in time. As good as we're feeling, Ricky Jones, my crew chief, and the entire crew working on my car between Kyle and Kelly and Steven and Richard Freeman and the entire umbrella under Elite Motorsports. We've just got a good rhythm going right now, and we're really just trying to capitalize on that. We're trying to double check each other's work without any emotion or ego, and trying to get me back behind the wheel with great comfort and confidence to get out and turn the wind light on however we have to do it. And it's, like I said, it's going to be a good points battle going down the stretch. And, will it be a 1-horse race, a 2-horse race, or a 5-horse race? We will yet to be seen, but hopefully we'll get to see many more races.
There you go. I'm getting calls from Greg Anderson's people already, but you could do shows like this. You got to make bold predictions. Not so bold. All right. I spent some time watching the pro stock groups on the Facebook, and past and present. There's a bunch of diehard pro stock fans out there, and a lot of them seem to long for the era gone by. I loved that era too. I certainly came about in the 80s, which I think is the golden era. My first event was 1980. I walked through the gates the first time as a 7-year-old, and pro stock was in the lanes, Dino Don, Grumpy Jenkins, etc. You've been driving these cars for a long time. You've won 5 championships now. I wonder if you could speak on a little bit like the evolution of these cars from your first win, which we saw in the Cutlass, to the car you drive now. And maybe people don't think that they've changed, or maybe they do, but just speak on the technology and how they drive different, what's different, and all of that. For those people who, I don't want to say stuck in the past, I don't want to say it in a negative way, but I want to promote what we've got now as something that's good.
No, we've definitely had transitions. I mean, the first full 500 cubic inch pro stock run I ever made in a pro stock car was the Cutlass you saw in the winter circle at Houston, which was about 4 weeks before that photo was taken. I ran 7:03, I think, at 196 or 7 miles per hour. I don't know it exactly, but today we're running mid 640s in similar conditions at 212 or 13 miles per hour with the current rev limiters that we run. The transitions that have happened have been many. Too many to go into in an hour conversation. The chassis evolution has continued, since the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, to right up to 2020. And my crew chief, I'm fortunate, Ricky Jones and his father, Rick Jones at RJ Race Cars, are right on the brink of all of that. The way they're, building these chassis for strength and rigidity and flex and performance, efficiency has not stopped. And I've enjoyed working with them the last, probably 4 or 5 years and driving their equipment. Cadillacs, unbelievably smooth. There's been a lot of evolution there. There's been a ton of evolution in things like ring and pinions, the way the ring and pinion gears are put together, the way they're cut, the diameter of them for strength and rigidity and efficiencies as well. That moves you forward into transmissions. We're running similar transmissions as we were when I first started in pro stock with Liberty 5 speeds. But Craig Liberty and his crew have done different style cuts to the gears and treated them differently in coatings to try to make them, just give you that little bit more, horsepower gain to the rear wheels. Moving forward, more so, a 500 cubic inch engine, that is the commonality from 1997 to today in 2020. And much of the same piston-driven design is the same, naturally, but there's been so much technology and things in the crankshaft and the bearings, the rod bearings, the way the components, the materials the pistons are made of, how the pistons are made, how they're cut, the rings that our friends like Total Seal put together, and the packages they put together to combust that and harness that energy as best they can, have come light years in the 20 years plus that I've been in pro stock. Obviously, we've seen the shapes of the cars change, and mainly due to two things. One, probably about 10 years ago or so, we went from what was from the 60s, steel quarter panels, steel firewall, steel floor pan or steel roofs, to now everything is composite. We did that for a couple of reasons. One, a little bit of weight and saves a lot of kind of time and prep money in putting a pro stock car together. That is one thing that has changed from the first pro stock car to today in the the body itself. But in the transition we did just in 2016 to fuel injection is probably the largest change we've seen since the inception of Pro Stock in the 60s, and that is moving off of the analog carburetor that it was the Holley Dominator carburetor that was so popular for decades, has now been traded in for a large Holley throttle body and electronic fuel injection. And that is a move that a lot of us were, a lot of people were shunned about it, but a lot of us were excited about it as well. And that's been a great performance gain for the Pro Stock cars from 97 to today. And the only reason we really haven't seen the performances trump what we saw 2015 and prior is at the same time we went to fuel injection, we went to a max rev limit of 10,500 RPMs. And, there was very few cars at, when that rule came into effect for 2016 that were running at or under 10,500. Most of us were well over 11,000 RPMs. And that's why we've seen the speeds trickle off quite so much, because we're not turning the engines quite as hard. The elapsed times, we've just nitpicked at them. We're running in the 640s as we were in 15 at that time. Today, in the right conditions, but the speeds, are down a couple of miles per hour because of the rev limiter and the limitations that we've been put on there. So a lot of transitions in Pro Stock in the time that I've sat in the seat of one. A lot of safety things have been enhanced. My father, Jeg, was always a proponent of safety, and, we were one of the first to have poured seats, pneumatic parachute releases. We had safeties on our air bottles where our cars wouldn't start if the air bottles weren't turned on. Those are all mandated rules today. You see in my car, for years I've run a NASCAR style net that runs much further forward toward the front of the car than the traditional Pro Stock net, where you could pretty much reach your hand out and wave at the crowd. So trying to keep your arm inside of a race car that could be tumbling well over 200 miles per hour. I always ran a longer front left side net, and then stole a the technology from our circle track friends and run the triangle shaped net down the right side. Again, if I were to get into a situation, you want to stay as confined as you can and try and keep your limbs from accelerating with the accident itself. So we've seen that and been at the forefront. So a lot of safety technology has changed as well, head and neck restraints, etc. But it's been fun to see and be a part of Pro Stock in the 23 plus years that I've been in it, and to run 190 plus miles per hour to approaching 216 in my career was neat to see, all out of a 500 cubic inch naturally aspirated engine. Again, no power adder with turbochargers or oxygenated fuels or superchargers, etc. So it's all research and development, a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and yes, those dollar signs go into that as well.
But after that, the person in the seat having such an effect on the outcome, and that is why you've been able to win 84 of these, including the most recent race, the Dodge Nationals at Indy. The Denso U.S. Nationals are next, along with the Jegs All-Stars, a tremendous tribute to the Lucas Oil and Sportsman racers out there. I am excited to be able to be there. Jeg, thank you for doing this. An hour with Jeg. Just so great. Really appreciate it. Now, people were asking, though, if that's a golf course in the background or not. Is that just beautifully manicured grass, or is that like, can you go out and play a couple of holes that close?
No, that would be nice, without question. No, I'm sitting here at the Jegs headquarters in Delaware, Ohio. We're on just over 100 acres of land, our facility and our race car facility. And we've got some beans planted throughout for our crops, and then we have some manicured lawns as well, just immediately around the facility. But it's been a great facility. We moved into this, and I moved into this office in the year 1999, the tail end of 99 going into 2000, and we've been able to service, I would say in 20 years, Lord knows how many, 30 plus million packages have gone out.
Wow.
Our doors around the world to our various customers.
On that note, right? Bezos, Amazon. I think about the success that they've had, and clearly everybody knows it's changed the world, certainly.
Sure.
And I think Jegs was Amazon before Amazon was Amazon. Except you guys,
a lot of those, yeah, no doubt.
right?
Yeah, no, we're fortunate here in Central Ohio to have just some amazing businesses to be able to kind of pull ideas from and see ideas and we've had J.C. Penney, McGraw-Hill textbook company, the Limited brands, and from Bath and Body to Limited to Victoria's Secret, etc. Eddie Bauer and Spiegel, now more Eddie Bauer, I believe, et cetera, goes on and on. So we were in the direct-to-consumer business. We started that in the late 80s, kind of transitioned from a retail and a wholesale business primarily to a retail business. And we still maintain a wholesale business today, but primarily was more of a direct-to-consumer business. We sat as a family. I can recall like yesterday, my father, Jeg, my brother, John, Troy, Mike, and myself, in a conference room at our facility down in Columbus. And his question to us is, do you foresee yourself wanting to open more retail stores? We had, I think, 3 retail stores here in Central Ohio. Or do you foresee yourself wanting to get more into the catalog style business? And it was pretty unanimous in our conversation that we wanted to, probably not go in the brick and mortar direction and focus more on the direct to consumer. And we started the Jegs catalog shortly thereafter, and away we went.
Away
you went. And there we have it. Jegs.
It's something that everybody does. Everybody does it. Jegs.
And we've been trying to sprinkle that back into some of our fun Instagram and Facebook and television posts, because that is a famous coined event right there.
Absolutely, it is. You got to go with it. Otherwise you're fighting against it, because that's what everybody wants to do. When you come up on the screen, Jegs, you got to let them do it. You got to give them the opportunity. Have a contest. Jeg, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Congratulations on your win. There'll be other interviews this season, I'm sure, because I know you're going to win more races. But this one was like a real deep dive into the life, the career, the stepping away, why. Talked a little business. I really appreciate it, and thank you for making the time. I know your time is valuable.
Hey, I appreciate it as well, Joe, and certainly hope our audience did as well. And like you said, let's do it again.
Yes, let's do it again. Jeg, thank you very much. Have a great day, and we'll see you in Indy in a few weeks.
10-4. Thank you.
There he goes, Jeg Coughlin Jr., the natural, one of the greatest of all time, and now you know why. Really cool stuff. And I think about, that whole Amazon analogy, right? Like what they did, how they were ahead of the curve. They thought ahead, and they had a meeting and they thought ahead, and look what they did and look where they've come. And all the racers, all the people that they've helped with that company to go out and drag racing. It's arguably bigger now than it's ever been before. If you compare all the different facets of it, whether it be bracket racing or what's going on with Street Outlaws, certainly in the NHRA, these TV shows, et cetera, all these different little series, and they're all getting their parts from, one of the big parts warehouses. In many cases, it is Jeg. So thank you very much, Jeg and Woody and Seth. And we do have a couple other photos. I just want to put them up real quick. I was just sitting like, look at these guys, man. Look at these guys. Great stuff. And thanks to Woody for sending in some, and thanks to Jeg himself for sending in some. And it was a big deal when I ran the 5-day bracket race at Moroso. And I did that for like 3 or 4 years. I call it like 93 to 96, something like that, when I was bracket racing heavy. And when Jeg would come in, it was a big deal. Like we had star power there, but we had Star Bertazzi was there. Everybody was there. Miondo was there. And it was just neat. Now these big money bracket races, they're all over the country. Unfortunately, people don't have to come to South Florida anymore. But it was a very interesting scenario back then. And the idea that that's getting big once again, that's really impressive. All right, time for your final comments. Put them in the comment section. Get ready while I tell you a couple of things. We'll be on tomorrow. Who the guest going to be? I don't know. I have no idea who the guests are going to be. This is going to be one of those. It might just be me again. Right? We don't always have to have a guest. The last time we jumped on there with no guest. We had a wide-ranging discussion about drag racing and all the stuff that lies ahead. And so that is great. Maybe I will come up with a brilliant idea of a guest to have on. We'll see. But subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm trying to get over 100 reviews. That's why. Because I don't know. It just seems like a good thing to do. Get over 100 reviews, right? So Apple Podcasts, Spotify for you podcast listeners. We've got an Ignition podcast in there that is great, super fun. That's all it is. It's audio only. It's a podcast for you to listen to while you work, while you schlep, that kind of deal. Alan Reinhart yesterday was awesome. A great discussion where I announced that I will be at the Denso U.S. Nationals as part of the NHRA track announcing team. So very excited about that and got a lot of positive feedback from everybody. Do want to say thank you to our sponsors, people like Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology, totalseal.com. Getting a shout out from Jeg right there. But if you're an engine builder, this is at some point, if you're an engine builder, a shop, you're a bracket racer, you are a comp racer, and you're not trying Total Seal and you listen to this show, like, what do I got to do? Do I got to come to your house? Like, these guys have been very helpful. Keith Jones, Lake Speed Jr., Matt Hartford, of course. They're working on the better mousetrap. They've got a better product. They're from stock eliminator to Formula One. They've got the technology. Check them out, totalseal.com and samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. The next generation, where are they coming from, right? Whether it's CNC programming and you go to work at Boeing, or maybe you're a factory stock showdown crew chief like Travis Hilger. Who knows? But Samtech, their grads go places. Check them out. Chris Vang, just getting engaged. How about that? Congratulations, Chris. Frank Hawley's drag racing school. It's just fun, man. Go drive a dragster. And if you're a bracket racer who's never won a race, you heard Jeg talking about the mental, getting this part right. Let's face it. If you're a bracket racer, it's not about strength, and it's not about physical endurance. It's about your dome right here, the melon. And how do you get that thing right? And the answer is Frank Hawley can help you. So go to frankhawley.com. If you're going to invest in all kinds of things in your car, you might as well invest in your mind. And that really is what separates victory and defeat more often than not. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Caffeine. Oh, are you addicted to caffeine? Call Marvin. Listen, I'm kidding. Coffee. Everybody loves it. And Rodak is roasting fresh per your order. You haven't ever had coffee this fresh. Call Marvin, 817-924-6821. Can you believe Costello is talking about caffeine addiction? Yes, I was. Would you like some free stickers? P.O. Box 848-353, Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33084. Send me a self-addressed stamped envelope to this address, Castello Media /WFO stickers, P.O. Box 848-353, Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33084. And I will load it with WFO radio stickers for you to put on your race car, on your toolbox, on your street car, whatever, wherever. But I'll load it up, and it costs you just a couple of stamps. Why? Well, I want you guys to, help me get the word out about WFO radio. We are a mom and pop store here, folks. Mom and pop store, fighting against the big corporations, the MRN and the PRN and the CNN, and then there's WFO, fighting it out for your attention. And we've got a diehard group that listens. WFO face coverings, if you're interested, email me, joe@wforadio.com. They are $10 with shipping, and I'll put one in the mail for you. Everybody's got to have a face covering these days. You might as well be rocking WFO face coverings, joe@wforadio.com. And you can also use that email address for other correspondence if you want to tell me something or, just generally harass. You can do that. All right, let's see what the final comments are, what everybody has to say as we roll in. Jeff, who is just such a nice person. Another great interview, Joe. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Daryl, great race. Jag, yeah. Jag has been fantastic. And Daryl says, what's up? Hello to me as well. Also an afterthought. Excited for tonight. Yes. Fired up. Let's see. Great show today. Love hearing those race stories. Nice way to spend the lunch hour. Thanks, Joe. Yeah. What do you think of this time slot? Is this better? Is it worse? Does it not matter? And here's what I would like to say to the audience out there. In a perfect world, if I get everything that I want, schedule doesn't matter. On today's occurrence, Jeg could only do 12 noon. 4 p.m. was not possible. So I said, yes, 12 noon. Flexibility, like Bruce Lee says, be like water. Flexibility. Did you guys all get the notification? Are you able to jump on? If you missed it, are you going to watch it after the fact on demand and listen to the podcast? If that is in fact the case, man, that'll make my life so much easier. Because I hate having to shoehorn people into an exact time. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 2 o'clock, except for Alan. He's got to do 1 o'clock. So let me know. Joe at WFOradio.com. Ricky got here late. Big mistake, Ricky. You missed it. That's why we need a COVID attention in the pits. Everybody, we need a new attention in the pits. If you don't know about that, Attention in the Pits is a show I do for the National Hot Rod Association on their Facebook and YouTube channels. And it is my give back or focus on what I think is interesting, which is this. The National Hot Rod Association has the best race cars and the best personalities in all of motorsports. I genuinely believe this. The problem is they're not all in the Mellow Yellow series. The Mellow Yellow series, certainly the quickest and the fastest and the loudest. And there's some great personalities and great racers there. But the grassroots, as some would say, Lucas Oil Series racers that run stock, super street, whether it be snowmobiles, motorcycle, like whatever, if they're in the pits, we go down and we find them and shine our spotlight on them and their personalities and who they are and what they did and why they built what, whether it be a Cummins diesel super street Chevelle that tows a Winnebago or tows an RV to the racetrack and races, like crazy stuff like that. Go to NHRA's YouTube channel and check them out. And we're definitely going to make a new Attention in the Pits at Indy. And if you have ever seen a car that is worthy of attention, by all means, tell us. Well worth the bucks to go to Frank's school, no doubt, no doubt. And that dragster adventure, it's relatively inexpensive for a full day of hanging out with Frank and driving dragsters. Like, what would you expect to pay for that? Like, come on, it's incredible. My kiddo wants to stick them all over his dresser. Do you mean WFO radio stickers? That is not an approved method of using WFO radio stickers. It's not. It's not. Sorry, kiddo. You can do 1, maybe 2 on the dresser. WFO radio stickers are for public consumption because otherwise, how will people see them and ask questions? 2020, the year of flexible. It's so true. And Eric, anytime is good for me. West Coast time. Good show, Joe. Thank you very much. And thank you, Eric. And thank you, everybody on the YouTube channel. All right, a couple other things that we want you to do. Clearly, WFO Joe, follow me, Instagram and Twitter. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Follow, subscribe, YouTube, subscribe, click the bell. You're getting really this, but it's another way to watch. And Facebook throttles us from time to time, which we're sad about, but what are you going to do? And get your WFO radio t-shirt at nitrofishracing.com. And that's really how I want to end the show off. I want to end the show off with nitrofishracing.com. We're going to have Randy Lynn on tomorrow. Randy Lynn is going to be on. That is one of our guests. But honestly, it's more to talk about this. Look at that, the dramatic, slow rise of the Nitro Ninja. Dominic Lagana, you've been hearing about him every day. It's possible that people did not know about Dom prior to the horrific accident that leaves him in the hospital at this point. Richie Crampton is at home and Jake Sanders is at home. And Richie tweeted out or put on Facebook yesterday this link. The Lagana Strong Nitro Ninja t-shirts. They are available at Nitro Fish Racing. There's also a GoFundMe account. Look, I know times are tough, everybody. I know it. Believe me, I know it. But you got money to help the GoFundMe and you got money to buy a t-shirt, especially the t-shirt, because after all, and I really don't want you using any kind of promo codes on this. I know it's hard to regulate that. I'm just asking. Don't use a promo code. But go to nitrofishracing.com. And another element to this is, from what I understand, many, many shirts have already been sold, and they're going to have to package these up and ship them out. There's a lot of work associated with this. So everybody, if you could, please go to nitrofishracing.com. Scroll all the way down. It's the last shirt in the shot in the regular section. The WFO shirt is there. If you're going to get a WFO shirt, I'd say pause, like wait a week, get it at the track. This is the shirt that's got to fly off the shelves. This is the shirt that everybody's got to buy. This is the shirt that I want every motorsport fan, NASCAR, IndyCar, drag racing to get on because it's of paramount importance. Go to nitrofishracing.com and get that shirt. And I'm going to be rocking mine at the Big Go as often as possible. And even if I'm wearing an NHRA shirt, you can bet that'll be on underneath for a day or two. Certainly. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me here at the lunch hour edition. As Ricky says, he got him. Would Jeg ever drive a Pro Mod? Where were you, Derek Green? When we had Jeg on here, we could ask him some questions. Jeg will drive anything. That's the way I say it. Let's hear from some Pro Mod drivers, please, says Scott. Yeah, I think we can do Pro Mod. Steve Brenwald from Brenwald Media bought 3. Way to go. Yeah, gotta get him. Thanks, Joe. Love the show. Understand these guys must be running themselves ragged with so-called free time. Guess thanks a million. Yeah. Why do they even do it? Why do they come on WFO for over 10 years? WFO Radio, the podfather of drag racing. That's a nice little moniker that we have. But really, I've been doing this talk radio thing since 1999, talking to people for a living from my start in South Florida radio, doing a show called Motorsports Saturday on 560 QAM, then XM Satellite Radio. WFO started after that. Now I work for the NHRA as a contractor, and this is my living. So any way you can support the things that we do, some people wish that I would never mention a sponsor. Like, don't mention any sponsors, then I'll listen. I don't know what to say. And we have Patreons, patreon.com/WFO radio. People directly support the show. Quite a few. They pay for the show and they get some extra content. And why they do it, man, I don't know. I ask myself that all the time, but I thank them and I appreciate them. From folks like Alan Reinhart and all our guests, Jag and Woody and everybody that's helpful. And thank you. And now you got the rest of your day. Look at that. So go enjoy it. Have a little fun. And that's going to do it. We'll see you next time. WFO.